Hello, this is George Lees, where we left off on the last issue on episode number 2 of the Global Mafias, which is really still about the Van Din family and the Vanderbilts and all of the Dutch connections. But because it's gotten so globalized now, like McDonald's the restaurant, I'm going to play you some music to show you why we left off. After the murder and the eating of the Dutch Prime Minister, I presented you with the horrible conspiracy theory that inside those burgers nobody has any idea what the meat substitutes are. Yeah, and that is the man who was brave enough to stand up against the Orange movement in Holland. Yeah, he was killed, and the images of him are just up above there, and hanging with his brother off the butcher's hook. Yeah, so the Dutch are really nice people, and that's the two brothers that were in the family that are the De-Witts. And so this is the music that I've selected for you to remind you that McDonald's is the place where they destroy the eco-forests and the rainforests so that they can raise the beef and maybe raise the humans on the end of those nylon or wire strings that they use in the Godfather Mafias. Okay, so this is McDonald's music. It's quite hip-hop. So, sadly, I had to divert myself this morning into issues clarifying the innocence or the guilt of a lovely lady singer that I've admired for all of my life, called KELLY Clarkson. Yeah, and I've made a separate video on this. Let me just show you the pictures of what she does. Yeah, she's just a plant. Yeah, and in her story about her actual life, she is also, by the looks of things, part of the Aryan master race and the bloodlines that come right through from Arius, Copernicus, PISO, the Bible fraudster, right through to FDR, right through to the Nixons, the Kennedy families, and all the presidential bloodlines that are the Bush dynasties and the de Buissons out of Hillary Clinton's Normandy. Okay, so what we've got is confirmation that this lady, she's lovely. Let me show you her Wikipedia profile, and I think that will be it. Worldwide Pants Inc. Okay, and this is the profiling of the diversionary. So the PISOs launch the Panthera family, yeah, out of the Roman court, and it's the Bible fraudsters all the way through world history. Okay, that's maybe a little bit difficult for you to grasp, but watch the separate video. Yeah, so this is Worldwide Pants Inc. Yeah, PISO and the Pantheras are the jokes about the Panzer division, and the jokes about all of Shania Twain dancing around in her leopard skin gear as Cybele, the goddess. Yeah, and all of the pussy jokes are Arius, Cal, Purneus, PISO. Yeah, the Panther Regiment, and all of the Pink Panther movies on the telly featuring all of the jokes. Okay, so these are the business interests of David Letterman, the propagandists in the USA, and he funds the elite families. Yeah, it gives them certain chunks of money at key times in the global history, and there is the graph on where he pumped his money into. 83 grand for the Republicans in 2008, and just 10 grand for the Democrats. Yeah, in the same era, in the same competition, and then again in 2012, when I become a political activist and I begin to out all of the stuff Okay, so he funds John McCain, Al Franken, he funds David Letterman, funds him. Yeah, and all of it is a massive launch of Kelly Clarkson, the relatively innocent person, but when you look at her profile and you look at her name, she is a B Arrian. Let's see if we can find it. Company officers with names matching Kelly Clarkson. Okay, and I showed you in the separate video I made this morning. I've got my skiing gear on because there's snow predicted again tonight. The whole world is a crime scene. Okay, this is Kelly Clarkson, and there you can see it at higher resolution than in the video I made this morning, which is only about 20 minutes long. You should watch it. It's a massive joke at the world's people's expense. Okay, Kelly Clarkson is the president of a company called SHPANTS, for a laugh. Yeah, and there's a MD called Clarkson Kelly, and they are associates in the surgical world in Iowa. They're the innocent people in this story. I'd had no idea that Kelly Clarkson is named until I looked it up, because SHPANTS, no one is allowed to know what they produce. Okay, and when you look down the list, some of the companies are also called KaCPants. Yeah, you get the picture. The whole of American history and all of its profiteering and all of its genocides. Yeah, and the McDonald's joke is that McDonald's was trading in Iraq and in America at the same time when they went to war. Okay, the first ever corporation to do that, apart from all of the things we've told you about Hitler and his Rothschild funding and his Rothschild parentage. Okay, so let me just see. Face Productions, SHPANTS Inc. And I've got no idea what the product is, because I've been trying to find that out for ages and ages and ages. There's another one. Kelly Clarkson, William the Conqueror Limited, United Kingdom, registered since 2012, when they changed the laws of succession. And all of my truths are coming out. Tilly William 1972. Yeah, so massive directorate presence. There's the CAC one. Do you get it? And I'll show you the images again as we move down through the global mafia Van Din bloodlines. But I just want you to see this bit. It's very important. She's part of the same joke. She goes to the presidential inaugurations because she is in, or claims to be in. Yeah, just the use of that name. That's the life of Brian. That is the biblical fraud that the man on the cross sings, always look on the bright side, because we're the people that wrote this story. Yeah, in the Roman court, and all of it is at the world's expense. Okay, she's a lovely person. Yeah, until I learn what I learned today, and that's her at the political meeting that is the 57th presidential inauguration. Okay, she's been on American Idol, and I think there's some of the genealogy programs she's participated in, but maybe not. Okay, so do you get it? That's the life of Brian joke. It's the B Arrian, and all of that is the same joke as Hillary Clinton's bloodlines and all of the relatives that are running for president. The man I forgot about yesterday is Cretien is one of the Canadian elites, and the other one is, oh, I keep forgetting it. It's a very, very French Canadian name. Cretien, and no, I cannot grasp it. Yeah, and Donald Trump is marrying again. Lovely looking women, and Hillary's pictured in all of that, and all of that is on the front pages of the Scottish papers. And when I looked it up on here, that news is already, that wedding occurred in 2005. Same pictures on the front pages of papers today, so that they can obfuscate Hillary Clinton being involved in Trump's bloodline. Yeah, so do you get it? It is massive. These are the people that were alive on this earth when Marcus Aurelius launched the first print runs of the fraud Bible. Yeah, and that becomes the Anai Anici, and all of it becomes the jokes in the things that I'm going to show you. Okay, so the McDonald's reference is to the Dutch Prime Minister that was killed with his brother and by the orange competitors in false religion. Met a couple of Mormons on the town bridge today, yet they tell me that they have now banned multiple marriages in the religion. Yeah, become ever so politically correct. And they are from Texas, and they're in Kelso trying to recruit new people. Okay, so, and there's all the massive shitty pants jokes. Let me show you the images that we could not see because the sun came out when I released all of this. Look up Kelly Clarkson, George Lees, Shania Twain, and all of the fraud that is, all of the cover-ups for the political behaviours and the media presences. Yeah, there's his donations. Let's get through this quickly and get on with the storytelling. There is the massive video of Madonna's that is the She's Not Me video, okay, and it's the Offer Nisim mix. It's a lovely musical song, and that's her with Letterman, the fraudster. Yeah, Field McConnell's not on these lists, yet on Little Siss, but his partner Hawkins is. Okay, he's the ever so English one, and that's the Hawkins Hawkeye jokes that mean that all of the war dead victims in Vietnam are laughed at in the movie comedy that is the Suicide is Suicide. It's just absolutely ruthless. That's the death of all of the Vietnam American troops, and it was in a comedy called it's just a MASH, featuring medics laughing at the death of all of those American troops thousands and thousands of miles from home in Vietnam. Okay, so watch these series of pictures and you'll see the pants joke. Yeah, there is the pants in Madonna's video, all on display. Rothschild red pants. Yeah, that's Roth coloured pants. Okay, and then we see that in the shitty directorates there's the Puma, Leopard, Panther, Calpurnius jokes that are all through world history. Yeah, and the Camillas are the ships of the desert, and all of it is a joke. Can you see her camel coat and her furious seams? All of them are PISO family members, and that's the biblical fraud. And she is, the other part of the title for that earlier video is Madonna with child. Yeah, as if it is the El Nino baby. Yeah, that's the El Nino global warming scam for the whole lot of them, and that's the video that I'm referring to there. She's got the dark glasses on, yeah, and that's the fear of the sun gods, and the real gods is in the skies as if they had any. She pretends to be the mother of God, yeah, and Maradona is the hand of God, and that's all the humans' jokes. Right then, let's finish off what we started this morning, and there, with the sun gone in now, yeah, it's going to snow tonight, there's the shitty pants in Madonna's movie, yeah, and that is the Shitty Pants company that is registered as a cover for the crimes of their colleague in the false news sector, who is that man that you just saw, and he is all through that video in several different places. Letterman, yeah, and there's Shania prancing around. That does not impress me much. There are no heroes left in this world. Okay, that's the same Panthera, goddess Cybele joke. Yeah, and she refers us to Brad Pitt, who's in all of the same bloodlines, and we can now move on to the Dutch Mafias again. Okay, Whitman Vanderbilt was part of the group of Illuminati. Okay, and so I think we'll just stop with that one cynical McDonald's ad. Yeah, do you get that about the Dutch Prime Minister and nobody knowing what is in the burgers? Yeah, and all of the rainforests have been disappeared so that McDonald's can thrive in every one of the countries that they brutalise. And that is the actual global warming thing, if there is one, because the trees, their role in life is to take the carbon dioxide that is exhaled by humans and to convert it back to oxygen. Yeah, that's called nitrogen fixation. It's a very important part of the ecology of our globe. The whole of the world leaders that run all of these scams do not care a shit about that. Yeah, that's the shitty pants jokes. Okay, Whitman Vanderbilt was part of the group of Illuminati that made up the round table in which the satanic Astors, yeah, that is also the family that Snowy Cameron is in. Yeah, she's an Astor and she is a relative of Nell Gwyn. Nell Gwyn is on the front page of the papers, and all of the stories are totally trivial, like that retelling of Trump's marriage with the pictures of Hillary Clinton looking ever so beautiful, because it's ever so old, that bit of news that they've recycled. The satanic Cecils that created the fascist round table played a big role. Search for Cecil Rhodes and the round table gets you the fascist Milners, yeah, off the borders and off the Newcastle region, yeah, but no doubt double Dutch agents. So there's the round table and a search for Cecil Rhodes, and he's the one that held the meeting at the Hotel Cecil exactly 100 years before the London Olympics joke in London, and the meeting was in his massive elite hotel. Both Balfour and Churchill, the traitors and profiteers in the massive land grabs all through the world, all across the world, yet were speakers at that meeting. Right then, so we're underway. And this is Whitman Vanderbilt. I'm still trying to find out the meaning of Vanderbilt and what it actually means in Afrikaans. No one can tell me that. Bilty is a favourite nickname here in my hometown, and the man that had that nickname in the Borders community died really young in a car crash. And I now, because I believe so much in the gods, I do not think that would have been an accident. And I believe that the Bilty joke will be about the issuance or the owning of money. Okay, the Vanderbilts are one of the richest families. When it's spelt like that, all open with spaces, you don't get many hits on the business registers, but when it's all one word, you get almost 2,000. Second richest family ever in America. Okay, so the military connection for the Dutch Americans is quite telling too. Okay, here's the De-Witt joke that you get in the King's Speech movie. Yeah, the De-Witt, he stammers as he ends his speech. He stammers and says De-Witt. Yeah, everything that they do, and I explained it in the earlier videos, that he is just the cover for one of those other bloodlines. So Henry Kissinger's name was almost the same as the actor that played the stammering king in the Hollywood joke about all of the war dead in World War II. Yeah, watch that earlier video that I made on that. That's episode 2 of the Global Mafias. Okay, James Longstreet, Confederate Colonel, shoemaker. Yeah, the son of the shoemaker joke. That's the popes, that's the archbishops, that is the Warner brothers in the parish parts of the Jumanji film. Totally replayed all of the time, and it's Michael Schumacher, the Stig for Jeremy Clarkson. Yeah, in all of the fast car jokes that they share. Okay, there's Hoyt Vandenberg, and what else have we got? Eric Shoemaker, US 3-star General, Surgeon General of the United States Army. Robert M. Shoemaker, born 1924, US 4-star General during the Vietnam Genocide. Yeah, that's Nixon and LBJ's massive crimes, yeah, in other people's continents, and they become Americans America's principalities, but really they still belong entirely to HRH and the moneylenders for her, who are the Rothschilds. David Petraeus, yeah, South African name, and that takes us back to the Roman Empire too. Commander in Iraq in 2007. His father is an immigrant from the Netherlands. James Van Fleet, US 4-star General, Army General during World War II and the Korean War. Isaac Van Wart, militiaman from the state of New York during the American Revolution. In 1780 he participated in the capture of Major Jean Andre. Don't know who he is. Okay, that's the Dutch Americans, and there's a massive list of them. That is just focusing on the son of a shoemaker joke. That's the Pinocchio film, and Pinocchio is Jesus, yeah, the boy with no strings who cannot get back to heaven because there is no heaven and there is no Jesus, and he has no strings. And his dad is Geppetto, and he's stuffed in the belly of the whale, which is in the Old Testament, in Jonah in the Old Testament, for a fucking huge laugh for them. Okay, and there's the Whitman, Vanderbilt and the connections to the Dutch Mafias. Okay, right then. And the iceberg, it's massive. Yeah, that's the joke about Solberg and all of the Dutch names with berg in it, is that only the tip of the iceberg sticks above the crime scene, and you can see that. Yeah, the rest of it is an underworld mafia op. Yeah, and poor Prime Minister that is the decent man in Holland hangs from the butcher's pole and they eat him. Here's the son of a shoemaker joke, and that is the American president. Yeah, that's Lincoln. He is Lincoln Rothschild. Okay, that's all of the stories in Rothschild Yellow. And there's the son of the shoemaker joke all over again. That's with the Russian hammer on that one. Yeah, and that's the communist Russians and the communist Chinese that we told you about in the earlier episodes. My mate, Professor Trevor Jones, his new name is Ducker. Yeah, that's the Ducker that was on the front page of the papers when I exposed Jehovah's Witnesses for being part of these massive links to the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the Taze Russell Mafias. The name of the one who launched the Mormons, who are only allowed to have one wife. Yeah. Now, his name was, two guys on the bridge were very articulate. They had just started the unit. Oh, we've got an ambulance popped up at my door. I don't know who they're looking for. Okay, so I have sometimes wondered if rather than the Van Dins, that the name we should be dealing with is, oh sorry, wrong computer, Vanderbilt. Okay, all spelt together. Sorry, that was my fault. It's not Rebecca Brooks this time. So Vanderbilt, all one. Oh God, sorry. So do you remember that McDonald's, Detweiler McDonald's, are the main sellers of the drones to kill people without declaring war on other continents? Okay, so the name Vanderbilt is massive on the business register. Okay, and we'll have a look at the little, oh God, I've done it again. Right, so found 23 results for Vanderbilt. Yeah, and when we search for Vanderbilt, all one word, yeah, we get 2015. And I cannot find the meaning of it. I dare not. The Dutch woman who runs the hairdressers, she's a very stern person and I fear her majorly. I'm sure she could explain to me the literal translation of Vanderbilt, all one word, but I fear her a little bit. Okay, you must not tell anybody that. She's lovely. Okay, the origin of the Vanderbilt fortune is an obscure mystery. It was close to 1 billion in 1924. Remember I told you about the Scottish football manager's massive salary being £4,000 in the early 1970s, when we got to the World Cup all the time. Yeah, so the Vanderbilts were worth 1 billion in 1924. That's £1,000 million then. Yeah, and all the hyperinflation ever since is absolutely massive. Yeah, and all they need to do to take the world back to prosperity is to devalue, yeah, all the inflationary trends, and just declare that we can have all the products at half the price or a tenth of the price, and we don't even need to print more money. Yeah, but the poor people and all the people who have nothing at all need to be given some. Yeah, that is the huge scam that only the politicians themselves and the elite families get the output of the bank that should be funding our countries, but instead is funding the scams that our elite prime ministers and presidents and juntas run. Yeah, the Ponzi schemes and the coupon selling and the crashing of all of the companies, and the victims are always the poor countries like India, David Cameron. Yeah, and all of the scams with your people on the court of the Bank of England in the country where you're the Prime Minister of it. Okay, so the original Vanderbilt who made it rich made his large sums from blackmail. Isn't that nice and warm? Yeah, Minnie Giroud Mead, certain rich men in New York, and that's the G.P. Putnam jokes. Yeah, that is the Chariots of Fire song, yeah, that launched the London Olympics exactly 100 years after the round table, led and inhabited by people that write the Putnam Monthly. Yeah, and those are the know nothings, Field McConnell, John Patterson, and all of the twats that talk up all of the stuff about stringing David Cameron up. You're totally supportive of all of the traitors that run all of our countries. That's why Hawkins is ever so English, and that's why his daughter talks up the World Wildlife Fund on Sky News. Until I report it and ask Field McConnell directly, is that Hawk's daughter? No reply to that. Okay, right then. So, David Putnam, Sunderland University. These are my best friends in life. Yeah, he was the Chancellor at the university when they made me a professor. The Vice Chancellor was Peter Fiddler, and that is the joke about you've got to pick a pocket or two and the Finchley region in London. Okay, Lindsay Russell of the Russell family, another top 13 inventor of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, that's Taze Russell, and it's the taser for the PISO Polis. Worked for the Vanderbilts. Okay, Lindsay Russell worked for the Vanderbilts, started the Pi Pilgrim Society, which is the 6th degree of the branch Illuminati. Lindsay Russell was also chairman of the Committee for Foreign Relations with Leon Panetta and all of those people that we've told you about. All of the elite people, the member of the Skull and Bones warmongering university societies, and the SSs all over the double agent world. Okay, so here we've got a search for Freemasonry rays of the sun. It shows you the Freemasonic symbol for all of the Masons globally until Hitler came along and despoiled the reputation. That is Hitler Rothschild, and there is the sun god with the sinister Freemason symbol. Yeah, and there is the Rotary Club icons and everything that you've got on the banknotes, and the wheels for the wagons for the corrupted cowboys and the Calvary Hill Cavalry that did for the Indians. Ever such a triumphant effort in genocide in every continent they do that and they replay it. The Vanderbilts, the Whitneys, the Goulds and the Rockefellers gave large sums of money to Billy Graham for his New York crusade. That's him. He's a really sinister looking bastard, and listen to him speaking. Yeah, it's totally mind control, and every one of the false religions and the Mormons on the bridge, they still do it. Yeah, the Jehovah's have a modicum of conflict now, because they realise my power, and they realise that I will not stop exposing them as a massive fraud. Yeah, and they're now, as I told you yesterday, running the organ, because they know that the mind control that they do at the moment has taken a turn into the reverse gear, which is why all of the Hawkinses and the leaders of the movement had moved out of the front row until they got their orders from America last week again. Take him on and tell him that they are actually part of the Mafia, which is what the Bill Clinton man has said to me. We are those people, George. Those are our bosses, and we totally understand that we are a Mafia op for profit. And his name is Hutchison, like the American presidential bloodlines and the Mafias. Billy Graham, I want to make this little bit of the video before it gets dark, because he's really sinister looking bastard. Yeah, and Graham means the devil. I don't know whether my sister knew that when she named her elder son. He was the one that had the tiny little horse that was like a donkey, and when we went to the point-to-point racing things, it stopped and refused to cross the start line. Yeah, and that's the cooks that took us to New Zealand. And eventually it is the cooks that bought our house, because they worked for the real estate agents down there. Yeah, and that's the cooks of the Jedburgh Irregulars and all of the laughs about the Das Boat film and their greatest. And that's the cooks that interlock with Fred Goodwin at the RBS. And the RBS is in trouble again. And none of the simple people like the cooks understand the implications of that. Yeah, but they turn on me all of the time, just like those scenes in the Lord of the Rings movies when they get consumed with greed, yeah, and the lust for the gold rings. It's happened to me a couple of times in my brother-in-law's house. So I don't know why, but they're not going to allow us to watch Billy Graham making his very evangelistic promises about what's going to happen to your soul once they've got your money in their pockets. Okay? And the people that it's getting really gusty again. I think it's going to be one of those howly nights, and I really enjoy them now, because it scares the shits out of the profiteers all the time. Yeah, the shitty pants joke. Yeah, shitty pants Inc. Let's have a look at that while we're waiting for Billy Graham to open his mouth. Okay, look at it. Just tier after tier of cover for the Pantheras, that are the PISO family that launched the Bible fraud in the first place. Chris Tarrant, yeah, he's one of the Newcastle fraudsters, and he fishes the River Tweed like all of the English villains do, yeah, with the people that are the millers that run the junction pool, where their fishing hut has been disappeared in an act of God. And the fishing is picking up a little bit, and all of them are becoming more and more civil, because they realise the power of what's happening all around them. Okay, this is Nevada, where the senators, yeah, and the people that work with the Scottish ancestry are the Turnbulls, and that's in The Godfather episode 2 movie 2A. Okay, here's Billy Graham. Let's get him on screen. Yeah, get down on your knees. This guy's really fucking scary. Yeah, and you can see those rabid looking eyes that he has. Okay, I don't know why it's taken so long. Here we go. Billy Graham at his best. Yeah. Cross your legs and think of heaven. There he goes. Look at him. Really nice looking chap. Oh, it's ever so slow. There'll be an ad too. So that is the Garden of Gethsemane in the PISO story. Yeah, this is around the time when St. Peter, who never lived, denied that he lived, and that's the Fox News cock crowing joke. Yeah, and Britney Spears is all of the chicken and egg jokes. It's absolutely endless. Yeah, and some of these people may not know it, but this one looks really evil, and you can see his shady looking eyes deeply inside his head, and the mannerisms are very Hitler Rothschild like. He was saying, "Oh God." And that's the dogs now. Yeah, "Oh God" are the dogs. Yeah, for all of the jokers in the religious movement, right at the top of the tree. Yeah, Prince Charles is allowed to know that. He launches the Dalek joke, yeah, and the company Delek in Switzerland, because he knows that the Jesus story was written almost 80 years after it was launched, before it was launched, yeah, and that's the birth of Jesus occurring when it was launched in 79 AD, and the Villa Papyri was buried in lava because Vesuvius was right next door, and that's the Villa Papyri about the PISO pen joke. If it is possible to save Billy Graham, if it is possible to save Bill and Jim and Susie and the human race, if it is possible any other way, if they can work their way to heaven, if they can buy their way to heaven, if there is any other way, oh God, spare me the cross tomorrow. But the answer, as it were, came back from heaven, therein. And that's the cross that all the Freemasons make the jokes about. The number for that in the PISO code is 300. Rebecca Brooks, just leave it alone, will you? Man cannot be saved by earning his way, by working his way, but by grace are ye saved, through faith, and that not of yourselves. It's the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. There is only one way that men can get to heaven, one road. Jesus said it was a narrow road. He said the gate was narrow. And it's the cross, and I must come to his cross. That's the reason. So, the cross is 300. The Arius Copernicus PISO, Jesus is 600. Yeah, and all of the jokes about the 50, that's none. Yeah, all of the statistics about the war dead reported by the Putnam Monthly. All of these people are the people that are in the acting team that own the world. And all of those genuine little boys that I met on the bridge today, talking up their former boss, who was, let's get on with it, who was, it's come up already in the Dutch Mafia stories, okay? So this is men at work and men behaving badly, yeah? And all of the parallels in the comedy about all of the Bush bloodlines, all the Jewish jokes, all the Gentile jokes, is the Big Bang Theory, brings in the science of nuclear destruction, the physicists are involved, and all of it is a massive comedy, and almost every one of the characters is replayed throughout world history. Yeah, and that is the cover of the Sheldon character for for the Sheldon ancestors of the Bush family. Okay, yeah, all of it melodramatic, all of it completely sinister, and all of his dogma is expressed just like Hitler's dogma, yeah, with the hands held high and the Nazi salute, and the swastika has just been taken from them because all of them are Freemasons. Yeah, that's the enslavement of the whole world, Jehovah's Witnesses and the Catholic and the Protestant members. Yeah, every false religion is owned by the capitalist Illuminati that run the whole of the fascist world and never give the citizens a life. William Franklin Graham, Jr., November 7th, 1918. Yeah, he's talking up the only way to heaven as the greatest genocide that all of their owners ever committed occurs. Yeah, all across the world, and all of them are over there. Thank you to the Hill family for coming and smiling warmingly at me. You're very decent people. Yeah, and I don't know why your brother was taken out like he was at the BGH, but you're very decent people, and all of this is thousands of miles from our Scotland, and the Hutchisons are very decent people too, and I love you for all of that and for not giving me a knife in the back so far. This is sponsored by the Florida Bible Institute. That's Florida, where Herman Roth was in the episode of the movie that I saw last night, and he tried to kill the Godfather family because he's Jewish and they're really clever and good with money. Okay, it's not about your religion. All of the religions are entirely for profit and to displace the gods and make them the dogs on the end of the lead joke. Right then, net worth of this man, the evangelist, who's talking up, yeah, the importance. Avarice is one of the biggest sins in Jesus' story. This one, when he died, is worth 25 million. Yeah, I don't know whether or not you get frisked and for the contents of your metal suitcase when you get to purgatory, which is somewhere in the middle, allegedly. Okay, Truth 1959, Dr. Billy Graham. Okay, author of books about the Salvation Army, totally owned by the Rothschilds, and God's love. Okay, Republican Democratic. Yeah, he's converted himself to being totally neutered in a political sense. Yeah, he masterminds the mastery of the masses, yeah, and totally replaces them with all that new dogma. Evangelical Christian, those are the happy clappy ones. Okay, and his children are Virginia Ann, William Franklin III and Nelson. Okay, and there's his signature if you want to defraud his family. The Dutch connection today. Many ex-Nazis and elite industrialists have made their homes in the Garderen Putten. Yeah, Put is in the north of Italy. It's right next to Naples. Yeah, and it's part of the Pauline missions that they went to Put on their way to Rome. Yeah, and Paul was blinded. Paul never lived either. Yeah, so these are homes in the Garderen Putten area of the Netherlands. Do you get the Put in a golfing context? Yeah, if there's a race course, if there's a golf course, yeah, and they're stunned every time I walk past the golf course at Kelsey where I used to play and I was crap at it. Yeah, they've got the flag at half-mast. They are massive Mafia members and sponsors of all of this evil stuff. X-rated hard in Wick region under the red light icon. Okay, let's take a closer look at which part of Holland this is. That's the red light in Amsterdam. So there is Hardenwick. Yeah, that's your wick is your willy, by the way. Harden the wick in the red light district, and the places that we're looking for is the Putten, which is there. Yeah, and there's the gardener joke, and that is the Garden of Eden joke. yeah, and all of the garden, the composer and the conductor, Elliot Gardner. Yeah, below is Puteoli, which is the PISO hometown in Naples. Yeah, as the faked up blinded St. Pauline mission sweeps like a circus into Rome, where the Vatican arrived later than the Cluny Abbey, in Clermont-Ferrand en Francais, where the first killings occurred in World War I, because this is totally riddled with evil motives, which is why Miss Clinton is called hilarious. Yeah, and I had no idea that Kelly Clarkson, the goddess, was a B Arrian too until today, until this evening. Okay, so there is Puteoli, Naples, yeah, where the Bible was defrauded and where fucking Vesuvius exploded on their home, and that's why I'm God-fearing now. There's the Garden of Eden in this joke, and all the way down through that you come through the Alpine region, which is the home to all of the fraudsters and Pope Benedict that defected. Yeah, he's a Nazi too, he's a Hitler Youth member, and he is Ratzinger, yeah, the joke about the Pied Piper of Hamelin. And on directly down that route you have Nuremberg. And all of the jokes of the Godfather movie are replayed in that. That's bringing the man from Sicily to see your inquest as the Godfather whistleblower, the Five Angels man, begins to blow his whistle. And when his brother is moved into the audience in the court, he shuts the fuck up. Yeah, because he knows that his life is not worth living and that he's committed to suicide in favour of the continuing presence of the Godfathers leading the world by violence and genocide. Isn't it a warm-hearted story? Okay, and the hard wick bit in Amsterdam in the brothels, do you get that? Yeah, and the eating of the Prime Minister in the political rival sense. I've not had a reply from the lovely and charming Miss Pippa Middleton since I talked to her about the girl with the golden helminths joke. Yeah, that's the art of the man with the golden helmet, who was Rembrandt, and he's the Dutch Mafias too. Yeah, and he paints the cows hanging from the hooks to cover that story about the Orange movement hanging and killing and eating the Prime Minister and his brother. Okay, so there it is again, Puteoli. Yeah, did you get that as a golfer? Yeah, right next to Naples, where the false Bible is issued. And that's the Pauline routes from down here in the region where the Monty Pythons take the piss out of it. Yeah, they come up here, go through Cyprus, they come up here into the lands where the Phrygian hat is used all the time, and that is the Gallipoli region. Yeah, massive jokes about it. And the Rothschilds are born up here in the Black Sea region, and it is a massive, massive set of genocides in the name of Jesus, who never ever lived. Yeah, and there's the Polish name, that is the PISO name, all the way through the map. You'll see the jokes about the PISOs and the Pi pilgrims, yeah, and the Puteoli jokes. Yeah, that's Putin, the demonized president in Russia. Right then, so there is another joke that you may notice that Naples is on that map, BIC Puteoli. Do you know what a BIC pen is? Yeah, it's the cheap French product. Yeah, most of the French products are quite cheap. Yeah, that's their dancers and their pole dancers and all of the great conflicts and all of the things that happen in the Mithraeum field, McConnell. Yeah, while all of the rest of the innocent poor people in your armies get massacred. Do you get that now? Yeah, it's the Villa Papyri joke. Right then, the Bilderbergers are building a super hotel conference centre near this area, yeah, in the Alps. Yeah, the Bilderbergers, that's Harold Wilson's pipe. He was an inaugural Bilderberger. Yeah, he is a Labour Prime Minister like Tony J. Blair, the Labour bastard, yeah, who with him is one of the world's biggest killers. He wins the Peace Prize because he's on the Nobel Peace Prize and the Nobel Science Prize awarding teams. And that is in 1973, when Vietnam and Korea were already goners to their brutality. And there's the windmill in Old Amsterdam, and all of the jokes for Val Dunican, which is Delaney's donkey, which is the middle name of FDR. Yeah, and all of the genocides and the pledges of FDR and Woodrow Wilson never to take their people to war are overcome, because there are really clever profiteering Germans in the back room like Henry Kissinger. Yeah, and there's Queen Beatrix with the word bear in her name, the Rothschilds link. Okay, Jean de Bien, Club Bilderberg. Yeah, so do you get it? They build a new building, and it's like a fucking pyramid. You might have guessed that already with the PISO pipe, because the pyramids are the places where all of the pharaohs lived, and they are in the same bloodlines as Lagos the Rabbit and Alexander the Great. All the way through the bloodlines you get down to the 7th or 8th pharaoh, and then you've got Queen Cleopatra in charge in Egypt. Yeah, and that's Elizabeth Taylor, and all the Zionist jokes that they share. There is no division between religious profiteering experts. Yeah, all of them are run by those Illuminati families that run the death camps. And there is the new building in Davos. The Bilderberg ate my hamster, and that's Rupert Murdoch's news output. Yeah, and you get huge protests, and all of the people are paid to do it. Can you see the pyramidal structure? Same as the top of the Nile and the pyramids, and the lion lying down. My favourite woman with the loveliest hair in the whole of Scotland is reminiscent of the lion. She's like a lioness, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and I don't know why she's got a conscience. She's now attending the Catholic Church as if that's going to mend things for her. She's absolutely beautiful, and she's just like a lioness, and it's really inspirational. Yeah, and they're very, very gentle people. They talk to me all of the time. Okay, here's the police at the Swiss border control, because there's a lot of stuff laundered through there. Okay, Bilderberg 2015, Hotel Austria. Yeah, and there it is, the pyramidal structure. It's massive. Okay, one of the companies involved in building the hotel is the Nazi family of Naki-Inus, Naka-Nias. Yeah, that's the knights that say "ni" at the end, and this is a huge piss take about the beekeeping community, and the busy bees is mentioned in the Gladiator movie by Commodus the traitor, yet the son allegedly of Marcus Aurelius, who was the first man who started to collate and print the Bible, which is why that man Richard Harris must have died with a massive conscience issue, because he's in the Hunchback movie pretending that he's interested in religion. What he's interested in is the woman that prances around like the current woman, who my wife used to give me a terrible row about watching her dance semi-naked. Her name is Shakira. That is the Jewish angel that is Shekinah. Yeah, and she is a genius as a child. Yeah, and all of her jokes in all of her videos are about false Christianity and sleaze. Yeah, and her real name is the same name as the presidential tank commander in Egypt, which is Mubarak. Yeah, it's a massive fascist coalition. And there's the beehives that are the equivalent of the fucking pyramid too. Yeah, and it's all really, really funny for them. Yeah, the pyramid bears the fruit up top. Busy bees since the gladiator was cast into the basement, and the working man enslaved in the wagon inn. Sun god joke, that's the wagon wheel, spoke and rays of the sun model. Yeah, and all of the different denominations go and drink. All the Freemasons in town have their lodge just across the road, right opposite the cop shop. And you do not get bigger Freemasonic institutions than the PISO Polis. Yet there is no law enforcement globally. And when I was making the earlier video today, they and the ambulance have toured my estate. No law enforcement anywhere. Yeah, do you get it? Right next to the cop shop, where I've been physically chucked out because I mentioned the allegiance of our local paper to the Prince's Trust, who's immune from any news reporting. Yeah, that's Prince Charles. Yeah, all of the changes in the laws of succession, all of his relationships with the chief rabbi, I've reported already. Yeah, massive frauds against their people, and they do not care a fuck about their people. That's why they send them to war all of the time. And that is the Göttingen joke again. It's God in Dingen. I forget what it is. It's not nearly as sinister as Göttingen, which means no God. Yeah, and all of the diseases that afflict the bees and impact on the humans, they were occurring in Rothschild's Ukraine way back. Yeah, when man still had the PISO horse to get around. And they're documented. And my student from Vietnam, who got his bursary to come and be an elite student and to study the use of Agent Orange and all of the birth malformations that has caused in his country, which America brutalised totally by design. Yeah, that's the Watergate fraud allegedly. Yeah, all of that. They stripped him of his right to do the studentship on the issues he wanted to do. Yeah, and in the end he went to Auckland and was only allowed to do a master's. Nothing to do with the intoxication of the whole of his country. And when you look for him now, he's on the Rothschild interlocks, and I don't know whether or not that's a false plant to cover their shame. Yeah, he was a really intelligent guy and really, really polite. Yeah, and like all of the enslaved nations are obligated to be, otherwise you get disappeared. I don't know what it's like in the back room at the Wagon Inn. The only time I had dinner there I felt really sick, because all of the stuff is deep fried. Okay, there's the busy bees of Commodus's era. Yeah, and all of his plans to usurp the actual man had the potential to cross the Rubicon and save his country. All of it is fiction. And Connie Nielsen is lovely too, and all of the world's actors like Corbyn are very competent people in the theft project that they are picked to engage in and lead. He's another false socialist. He's officially dead because he is David Kelly in the weapons delegation that I told you about in the video that I've yet to upload. I'm in a terrible backed up. I've got writer's cramp because I try and write too much detail in. I'm going to have to stop that until I catch up with myself. Okay, and we get on to Frank Sinatra and all of the massive sins and evil sexual crimes of all of the people that were my greatest heroes in life and are still my wife's greatest heroes. Yeah, total sexual deviance in the killing kittens, yet eyes wide shut environment. Thank you to the lovely lookalike for the woman that is Commoner Kate's madam, who I met in the supermarket this afternoon. She was very understanding. She was looking for a PISO pineapple and I helped her to find it. Okay, that's the Pie PISO pineapple. He's got a pineapple on his head jokes for the Arsenal fans, and that is because Arsenal is a pharaoh. in the bloodlines that we've just referred to. And there's the sun in the Rotary Club jokes. Yeah, Rotary Club of Rothschild, where the fat man that is Cyril Smith was totally defamed like Jimmy Savile beyond the grave. They're massive heroes for their people when they're still alive. He's a Lib Dem. They're totally powerless now, and Nick Clegg is claiming that he is the next in line to receive all of Lord Lucan's massive estates and all of his residual wealth. Same actor that played Nick Clegg, the head of the Lib Dems, married to the woman that runs the assassination bureau in Brussels. And that's the In Bruges movie from Hollywood. Next up, Ra, the sun god. This is the real god, and there is what Taze Russell presents it as. The sun becomes the double-headed eagle for the Third Reich, for Russia, and for all of those 19 or so countries that believe St. Andrew, who never lived, is their patron saint. And there's all the jokes about all of the birds and the species in all of the Egyptian alphabet. There's the Beatles that launched the Beatles, the New World Order band, and the game that I used to play as a kid. It's explained further down. I doubt we'll get that far today. Okay, that's Taze Russell's symbol for the false religion that is the Jehovah's Witnesses, sponsored entirely by the Rothschilds. Yeah, and they're now fronting up, and all of the people that are called Dukkha and that were guilty of those massive frauds as pharma magnates, yeah, they have no conscience at all. I taught the man to fish, yeah, all of them live their lives in denial, and I don't know why they come to live so close to me, because I'm letting the truth out no matter what they try and do to me. And there's the little finches, that's the Finchley road joke, that are the finches that I discovered in my garage, and the neighbours sent them to the RSPCA. Yeah, because the birds are incapable of feeding themselves. In the Christian Bible and all of the stories about the great civilizations, the birds are sent to us, and all of the beasts are sent to us as a consoling message that the gods are in charge, and the birds will be fed by the gods. Yeah. And the story about the birds in the Tower of London is that the ravens will eventually, when the country is freed, desert the tower, which is why they have to clip their fucking wings. Okay, and here is the stories about the most on the south side of the city. This is the B website joke, and the industries that are there in Amsterdam, yeah, are the steel industry, the railway industry, and the workers are involved in the production of silk and rayon stockings. Okay, it's ever so difficult for me to get at the Dutch and Afrikaans religion. Okay, so, and some of this, because they know that I'm reading this, they take down all of the topics off the internet. So this is the Nationanius Nazi family that we referred to above. Really, really evil. None of it can be found any of the search engines now, or even in my encyclopedias. Okay, and so there's nothing left except that one website on the pyramidal shaped beekeeping hives. Okay, and that's the people that resurrected and rebuilt as a pyramid the Bilderberg building in Elite, Bavaria, and that is the launch of the B Arrian. Yeah, they are actually the real master race. That is the Bears, that are the Rothschilds, and are the Rockefellers, the powerful leaders of those 13 mafia families. Still cannot remember the boss at the Mormons. Written out of History 1 presumes the family lived under Mount Etna. Yet that's one of the massive mountains where the Pauline missions were victims of the earthquakes and the massive volcanic eruptions. Yeah, that is the Pinocchio joke. Yeah, that is, and Stromboli is the Pinocchio joke. Okay, Mount Etna exploded at the end of World War II. Yeah, after that massive cull, and all of the people being double agents that run the war. Yeah, that's the stammering WW Windsor king. Did you mean it? So I spent ages looking for any links to that. Still have not found it at all. Okay, and these are the Afrikaans or Dutch speaking languages that mean that I'm up a blind alley or into the beehive, yeah, where the busy bees are ever so profitable. Asselbergs. Okay, now this is slut. Yeah, there's a woman manipulating her own pie. Yeah, that's the PISO joke. Yeah, and the tit joke is also laughed about by the Monty Python teams. Okay, these keywords, Asselberg takes one to the Cortez false news out of Oxford University Press that the genocides and missions in Latin America were led by indigenous local turncoats. It took them over 100 years to modify the stories of the, yeah, and all of the output of these families is just sleaze. Art galleries like Lord, what's the name of the chief fundraiser for the Tories that went to Australia, and he runs the Naked Children as a paedophilia expert. Yeah, art galleries in Perth, where my family have the cousins that are in the Rio Tinto regions, that are the people that were the Lang Hancock's dynasty that ran the mining, yeah, and are the only second to Queen Elizabeth II in the mining interests all across Australasia. None of it belongs to the locals who were sent there for stealing the bread from Scotland and England. These keywords are so it took them over 100 years to modify the stories of the conquistadors. It took Oxford 1500 years to modify the Jesus College stories, but they had no printing presses until the Germans linked in. Yeah, so the Germans and the Protestants launched the printing press, and I forget what, I think it's Gutenberg, and there's a Project Gutenberg to lock up all of the biblical texts so that no one can challenge it like me. And that is part of the mission of the hunchback and the man that is Marcus Aurelius the actor. Don't know how he lives with his conscience. Well, he's dead. And that is no surprise to me. Yeah, I don't know what happened when he met his maker. Solberg is in the usual suspects, and 7/8 of that berg sinks all the ships. Do you get that bit? Yeah, that's the underworld joke for all of them, and the backroom joke for Marlene Dietrich. Both sides of the Atlantic, yeah, when both sides were still peaceful, yeah, and in flight from the massive genocide that they propagated from the back room. All these images were dreamt up since I discovered the Oxford Latin American Empire jokes. Okay, so there's nothing on those families that built and rebuilt the Bilderberg movement, yet with that massive linkage, and all of it is just Jan Asselberg, and that's oral sex. And that's what you get in the Black Swan movies about the Israeli actresses, yeah, that are really sinister. I forget, they make horrible movies. I forget what her name is. It's the Black Swan movie, and it's full of stuff like that. And there are, yeah, a couple of folk, and I contacted them and asked them if they could get in touch with me on their insight into what that family was that rebuilt the Bilderberg building and its links to the Asselbergs and all the false news. She did not reply. Okay. Dear Lisa, I'm studying the Dutch links of Queen Maxima, this is what I wrote to her, to Latin America and the papacy from the Innsbruck region. Yeah, that's the son of the shoemaker joke. One wonders if you have insight into the links of the Dutch family called Nachanius, who helped build Do you get the anus joke and the oral sex and all the sexual deviancy? Yeah, helped build the Bilderberg venue in the Alps near Innsbruck and Hitler's nest. Your fine art is revealing, and one hopes you can feed my heart and mind on what has become a very secretive topic. Did you know the Sheriff name was associated with the George W. Bush family before they left Europe? If you are in the bloodline, do you understand the Buffalo Girls jokes? And might I have your autograph? I am on Skype, Professor George Lees, and I'm always diplomatic. Sincerely yours, George. Yeah, they're asking for it. Yeah, and all they do is trivialise all of the stories about world history. And there's another Asselberg's image below, and it's the same. Yeah, it's the same, and that is Madonna with child, for a laugh, in the story that we started off with. Okay, and there they are, with all their nakedness and all of their pies hanging out. Okay, and there's the B joke, Bigen tilt, I forget what the translation is, Prof, and this is a PDF, and this is the Breda, and these are this is part of the Stepping Stones and Bedford Falls jokes, and this is also the same part of Holland where we're looking at all the beekeeping jokes. Okay, and it's ever so difficult because there's no translations, and since I started to use Google Translate, they will not automatically on Wikipedia do the automatic translation for me now. Okay, so this is the Acarios issues, and this is also the mummers. The mummers are the Irish Freemasons and the Rotary Club members, and that is the mummers that do the Isle of Man symbol of the legs gunning round in a circle because they're slaves to the fascist leaders of those countries. That's Queen Maxima, whose her dad was part of the genocides in Latin America. So Varicose and all of the mummers in Ireland understand the Nakianus Mafias. One is prepared to bet that this covers the Saint Anila that is in the Flemish coast of Holland. Yeah, that's annihilation, and that's the weapons of mass destruction ambitions of the global Freemasons, Arthur Hastie and Jim Creamy Telfer, the creme de la creme people in our region. Okay, the Belgian-Dutch connection to the Illuminati is not trivial. The Dutch William of Orange deposed English King James II in the fighting of 1688 to 91. Yeah, that's when Christianity had hit America and we've got virtually no Indians left by then. That is significant because it appears that Illuminati financial headquarters were in Amsterdam prior to William of Orange's victory. That's the one that killed and had eaten the Prime Minister and his brother Cornelius. Okay, here we've got Blenheim Palace, and this is the Churchill's gift for helping with the Orange Revolution. Yeah, and his paymaster becomes William and Mary, and they become the monarchs this side. Yeah, and all of that was gifted to them. Yeah, and I visited it, and I saw the Armstrong man that runs the quiz show, and he scuttled away out of the car park because he's on the board, the Armstrong man that runs the quiz show at 5 o'clock every night. Yeah, and he is on the board of the Trident scandal that I reported to law enforcement globally. That's the PISO police. Nothing happened other than me getting chucked out of police stations all over the borders, and even in the Lothians. Yeah, where all of the covers are involved the launch of Sheriff Lothian and all of the killing of McHale, and all of the people that are the false news activists were launched into searching for McHale's body. It was eventually found in Lord Mackay of Clash Ferns, legal constituency, which is Gordon Brown's political constituency in Fife. Yet the fiefdom joke about the citizens and the electorate being slaves. Right then. And that is the Pied Piper joke too. After that victory they moved to London. One only has to note how important Brussels has been to the New World Order to realise that the lowlands of Belgium and the Netherlands continue to be important for the elite. For instance, the Beast, the supercomputer, which is notified within seconds of every financial transaction you carry on at an ATM, is located in Brussels. Did you know that? It swallowed up my computer card on New Year's Eve. Never got it back. I got a case number from the police, never heard from them. Okay, it's getting quite gusty out there again. I hope we get the howling again. It is really inspirational, and I'll be able to catch up with my writer's block. Okay, there's the Beast and the acronyms. Look at it. Massive, sinister presence in Brussels, so that the profiteers that are the government and the future of Europe and its committees, run with Tony Blair at the head, and all of the massive thieves like him, who are the world's biggest killers. Yet he's in charge of the future of Europe. His name is not mentioned in the Brexit debate at all. That could be Saint Anila, or it could be Commoner Kate with a new hat. Okay, and it is just massive, and it could be the Sibel joke and the Pink Panther regiments that commit the first genocide at Treblinka in the name of the Warner brothers, and covering up that they were to become the propagandists for the other side. If the Van Dyn family were indeed one of the top 13 families, it might break open some big clues to understanding the Belgian connections and the elements within the Illuminati. The really nice people are the James Murdoch lookalikes, and their parents are ever so charming. Like the Europeans, almost all of the Europeans I've met, most of the villainy is Anglo-American in my experience. Yeah, she is the woman who is the Kelly McGillis body double, yeah, and her husband or her boyfriend is the body double for James Murdoch. Yeah, and they have not come forward and said that they are actually the Global Mafias, like the Bill Clinton lookalike, who is the family member that used to play professional football for Hearts, yeah, and comes forward and used to talk to me civilly. Now he's trying to scare me. He does not scare me at all. He's a little twit. Okay, and all of them dedicate their lives to covering the massive frauds of Bill Clinton and his eco-crimes, which are crimes against God, because the gods dictate the weather patterns, and all of them know that. Yet since Eric and Ernie danced around with their umbrellas singing in the rain. Okay, earlier newsletters and the Be Wise's Serpents book have described high-level rituals carried out in a castle, a burg, Solburg, yeah, in Belgium. There are Dutchmen in the genealogy of the Roosevelt presidents. Yeah, do you get that already? That is the people that are on the Mayflower. Yeah, and they are the people that are called Delanoy, and that becomes the New Deal joke for the president that promised never to take us to war, and he started the Cold War because he demonized Stalin, his mate, in profiteering. Yeah, trained with Hitler Rothschild in London and Tavistock and Liverpool. Yeah, and all of it is the same joke. Yeah, that's Roosevelt presidents in the line that goes back to the British royalty and to Lagos the Rabbit and Alexander the Great and the Egyptian pharaohs. Other prominent elitists tie back, and the launch pad for the Mormons was a man called Joseph T. It's the same joke in the whole of world history. They told me that on the Tyne Bridge this afternoon. I forget the name of the first boss. The first boss was a Joseph. The second boss was a famous name that I remembered the last time I saw it, and it's further up this tab. Other prominent elitists tie back to the Netherlands and Belgium. Also, Elizabeth van Buren wrote The Sign of the Dove, which is a book about the Merovingians,